सुप्तेषु जागृति येष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामुषो पुरुषो निर्विमानः निर्विमानः तदेव शुक्रं ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् योगः श्रुतः
Good morning, viewers. At the outset, let me thank the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and particularly the CPE committee led by the chairman Mr. Murli to give me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on the subjects. And to start with, the subject Bitcoin is very new to all of us, and lot of things are developing on a daily basis. We get updates from different parts of the world on this subject daily. The subject itself is so vibrant, like its movement as far as its price volatility is concerned. So, we have to, members of the profession, the CA profession has to understand the subject very closely, since it's a very controversial subject, let me tell you. So, to start with my presentation on Bitcoin, which is an emerging cryptocurrency, whether it's a threat or boon, it's an opportunity or a threat. Before I start my presentation, let me put my disclaimer on the subject. Bitcoin is relatively new concept in India. RBI and other regulators are reportedly in process to classify it, and yet not clearly came out either for accepting or rejecting its legality and issued caution notice so far. Bitcoin market is new, unproven, and its trading involved a high degree of risk in view of its price volatility. In order to participate in the trading of Bitcoin, one should be capable of evaluating the merits and risk of the investment and be able to bear the economic risk of losing even entire investment. The content of this presentation have been sourced from online reports for which authenticity is not warranted. Contents of this presentation should not be considered as an offer by SHAH SANJEEV Associate Chartered Accountants Vadodara to sell or solicitation or advice to buy Bitcoin. Views expressed herein are purely academic and personal in nature. Every day, all of us look at the newspapers and some headlines comes regarding the subjects. These are the few headlines on the subject which has appeared in the newspapers, various newspapers of the country for the last about 2.5 months, 3 months. RBI cautions against the use of Bitcoins. In the murky world of Bitcoins, fraud is faster than the law. RBI neither regulates or supports the Bitcoin. Though risky, Bitcoins are not illegal, says a very known law firm. In Bitcoins, heads or trails. Bitcoin નું ચલણ ડોલરને ભાડે પડી શકે છે. Bitcoinની ગેંગમાં નવી 67 e-currencies have been added. Use red flags of the Bitcoins. Bitcoin still under the lens. RBI chief cautions the investor. Bitcoin plunges after marketplace halts withdrawals. Mount Gox of the Japan. Bitcoins will help grow old world trade. Expert. Bitcoin low cost payments challenge for the big wigs. Swiss banks have started offering their services as far as the Bitcoins is concerned. Bitcoin, a virtual currency that is not designed to last. So these are the various headlines which comes on a daily basis. Today only, I was reading the newspaper in the morning, and the newspaper reported that the one of the largest Bitcoin exchange, Mount Gox of Japan, have failed in discharging its responsibility to pay its customers. There are almost 93 virtual currencies at present being used by people across the world over internet or offline transactions. The total valuation is approximately 13 billion, and among it, Bitcoin accounts for approximately 9 billion as per the market estimates. What are the major currencies, the virtual currencies? Bitcoin is one of them, Litecoin, Ripple, Peercoin, BitGem, Catcoin, etc., etc. A bit on a Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? It's a decentralized and cryptography based digital currency generated through complex computer calculations, which is gaining widespread acceptance globally. It is called a cryptocurrency because it uses public key cryptography. It is first described in 2008 by Satoshi Nakamoto, a computer programmer or a group of programmers under the leadership of Satoshi. It's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Each Bitcoin is subdivided down to 8 decimal places, forming 10 crores smaller units called Satoshis. Bitcoin is considered to be the most expensive currency. The unit value per Bitcoin went as high as up to 74,000 rupees, that is US dollar 1237 in the November 2013, which has now slipped to almost $600 to $700, ranging between 36,000 to 42,000 per Bitcoin unit. What are the objectives, or rather, what was it that Bitcoin emerged? Bitcoin is a new innovative technology that can be used for global payments. Current financial system has many flaws. It leads to bubbles, growing debts, and unfair distribution of wealth as per the logic of the promoters of the Bitcoin. Free market money that cannot be manipulated by governments. Bitcoin is a free market money which cannot be manipulated like the market regulators or rather the federal banks of the respective countries print more and more currency and manipulate the respective currency. In case of Bitcoin, it's not possible. It's a kind of reintroduction of the 19th century gold standard remodeled with today's technology. Bitcoin, you can say, is a fast and cheap, very fast as far as the transactions are concerned. There are estimate about 5 billion people in the world who do not have the bank account. But important to note that most of these people have mobile phones. And M-Pesa, the operator in Kenya, have utilized this anomaly and proved that value transfer is possible in case of a Bitcoin. Bitcoin enables the underbanked people to participate in the global economy, and to let them participate in this global economy is not a dream. Bitcoin has started proving that, but a realistic and important task for the future. Bitcoin community believe in increasing social capital by enhancing economic liberty. That is very important to know that they are included the people who don't have the bank accounts, they are slowly getting involved by increasing the social capital and by giving the economic liberty. Before we start further, let us simplify some of the terms which are used as far as the bitcoins are concerned. BTC is the common unit of Bitcoin currency. It can be used in a similar way like USD instead of dollar. Bitcoin address. A Bitcoin address is similar to a physical address or an email, comprises two components, a public address and private address. Every Bitcoin address has its own Bitcoin balance. Every address, like a bank account has the bank balance, the Bitcoin address has got own Bitcoin balance. Wallet. What is wallet? Just like our wallet, Bitcoin uses their addresses by using a digital wallet. Here the wallet means a digital wallet because all the transactions are taking place through the medium of internet. So it's an e-wallet, you can say. Wallets let user to send bitcoins, request payment, calculate the total balance of addresses in use and generate new addresses as needed. Anybody can go to the internet. There are a number of sites which offers to provide free facility to give you the e-wallet, that is digital wallet for the bitcoins. Mining, very important word for to understand the Bitcoin. Bitcoin mining is the process of making computer hardware to complex mathematical calculations for the Bitcoin network to confirm the transactions. As a reward for this, Bitcoin miners can collect transaction fees for the transactions they confirm along with newly created Bitcoin. Mining by process itself is a specialized and competitive market where the rewards are divided up according to how much calculation is done. I'll give the example. To earn 25 Bitcoins, one is required to have the mathematical calculation to quantify it 5 quintillion mathematical calculation per second. Now, 1 quintillion is how much? If you put 18 times 0 after 1, then it becomes 1 quintillion. So you can understand how much complex mathematical calculations which are involved to generate a block of 25 bitcoins. 5 quintillion mathematical calculations per second which is required to generate 25 bitcoins, which requires very high capacity computers. So in our computers normally we have the CPU. In this kind of computers they require GPU, graphic processing units. Very high end computers are required and it's also very expensive. Blockchain. The blockchain is a public record of Bitcoin transactions in chronological order. It's like a general ledger in our accounting term. The blockchain is shared between all Bitcoin users. It is used to verify the permanence of Bitcoin transactions and to prevent double spending. Cryptography. What is cryptography? Everybody knows, but let us see how it is defined. Cryptography is the branch of mathematics that lets us create mathematical proofs that provide high level of security. Online commerce and banking industry already uses cryptography. In case of Bitcoin, cryptography is used to make it impossible for anybody to spend funds from another user's wallet or to corrupt the blockchain. Of course, there are certain exceptions which have taken place very recently, whereby some hacking taken place by stealing some of the bitcoins from individual wallets, and because of which only there are some disruptions in the one of the largest Bitcoin exchanges in Mount Gox in Japan, and there are certain transaction malleability. How it has taken place we will see in the later part of the slide. Confirmation, like any transaction confirmation is required. So it means that transaction has been processed by the network and is highly unlikely to be reversed. The transaction receive a confirmation when they are included in a block and for each subsequent block. So it's very systematic. P2P, peer-to-peer refers to system that work like an organized collective by allowing each individual to interact directly with the others. This is P2P. Private key is a secret piece of data that proves your right to spend bitcoins from a specific wallet through a cryptographic signature. So once you get the electronic wallet, digital wallet, and you get your private key, then you can start making transactions for the bitcoins. You can register yourself. One can register oneself with any of the Bitcoin exchanges. There are a number of Bitcoin exchanges available on the internet. One has to provide their KYC norms, all the necessary proofs of their identity and address proof. Then only the exchange accept you as one of the member, and with the help of your electronic wallet and private key, then you can start transaction with your online banking facility which is available. How bitcoins are classified is very controversial. Across the globe, different regulators, different countries are in dilemma. How to classify bitcoins? Where to exactly fit the bitcoin in the existing law definitions? As we have seen that it's a virtual currency, it is like an electronic document. Bitcoin is a thing which is created by a computer which makes it as an electronic document. Please understand, it is not a legal tender, means the notes which is issued by, say, as far as India, the Reserve Bank of India, so it's a legal tender. The rupee note is a legal tender, but Bitcoin is not a legal tender. And Bitcoin does not have backing of any authority or a regulator. Bitcoin lacks intrinsic value, which is very important to understand, because its value depends only on willingness of users to accept them. There is no intrinsic value behind a unit of Bitcoin. Like say dollar, there is a gold reserve available with the United States Federal Bank. So in case of a Bitcoin, there is no backing, there is no intrinsic value of the currency. In view of the same, Bitcoin as of today cannot be classified as currency or security or derivative or negotiable instrument or prepaid payment instrument as defined under Indian law. Indian law can define Bitcoin under out of any of this, either currency or security or a derivative or negotiable instrument or a prepaid payment instrument, either of these. So regulators, the Indian authority, the Indian lawmakers have to decide how to classify in either of these currencies or a security. As far as the United States is concerned, they have classified Bitcoin as a commodity, which is important to note. Classification of Bitcoin. Which are the possibilities? Since it is not classified, we can only discuss about how it can be classified. The Indian Copyright Act defines computer program as a set of instructions expressed in words, codes, schemes or any other forms, including machine-readable medium capable of causing computer to perform a particular task or achieve a particular result. So Indian copyright defines computer program like this. Bitcoin, by virtue of this definition, Bitcoin can be considered under a computer program. The General Clause Act 1897 defines movable property as property of every description except immovable property. And since Bitcoin can be considered as a computer program, can be classified as a movable property. And now, the Forward Contract Regulation Act 1952 defines goods to mean every kind of movable property other than claims, money and security In view of this, Bitcoin can also be considered goods. So we can say Bitcoin can be classified as goods or movable property under current Indian law. Also, there are different views whether it can be considered as intangible property. Question mark. How the Bitcoins are structured? Very important to note that the capital B, when you use the Bitcoin with B is capital, it is called the transaction network. And when the small b is used, lower b, it is called the currency itself. So capital B, the transaction network, and the small lower b, currency. The Bitcoins are, as I mentioned earlier, Bitcoins are created by a process called mining, which is a software driven process usually handled by the tech savvy programmers. It is generated every time a solution to a complicated mathematical problem is algorithmically found by the network of computers participating in the mining process. We have got some queries about this particular issue. We will take it later after the end of the presentation. Blockchain records every transactions which is present and past and ownership of every single Bitcoin in the transactions. Blockchain is like a general ledger as I mentioned. Blockchain, a digital transaction log, is like an audit trail which contains every single piece of information of every transaction. And people who constantly verify a blockchain are called miners who confirm the transactions, ensure it to be secure, safe, and for which as a reward they are paid fees and also newly minted Bitcoins. So how the Bitcoin transactions are structured? Bitcoin wallets keep a secret piece of data which is called a private key for each and every address and a public key as an address to which the payment can be sent. So every Bitcoin wallet has two pieces. One is a two piece of data, private key and public key. Private key are used to sign transactions and prevent it from being altered. And each user of Bitcoin gets a digital wallet and Bitcoin address which is used to transfer it to the another addressee. A transaction or a transfer of Bitcoins is simply a transfer of value between Bitcoin addresses that gets included in the blockchain or the system log. So whenever the transaction is completed, it's reflected in the transaction log, which is a blockchain, like a general ledger as per the accounting terminology. How to get Bitcoins? The people who don't have much idea about the Bitcoins, the common question, the first question comes in the mind is how to get Bitcoins. There are three common ways. One, if you are selling the goods and you can accept the Bitcoin as a form of payment, that is also being done. You can purchase and sell Bitcoins through online exchanges. There are one or two few names, Bitstamp, BTC China, BTC European Union, and blah blah. You can trade Bitcoins for traditional currency of respective countries. These are the three common ways how to get the Bitcoin. How to get started? How to get the Bitcoins? As I mentioned earlier, first and foremost thing is that to acquire a wallet, digital wallet. There are different online applications. You can download those applications or the software on your computer or a mobile phone. Buy Bitcoin through exchanges and keep it in a wallet. So next question is, as I mentioned, you have to register yourself with any of the exchanges, Bitcoin exchanges, by fulfilling that KYC norms, and then you can buy the Bitcoins and keep it in your digital wallet. For sending Bitcoins, simply enter the recipient address with the recipient's public key, enter the amount and press send. It's as simple. The recipient also receives the request for Bitcoins in exchange for goods, services, or a currency. The entire process is I have tried to put in a diagram. There are 4 steps. The step 1 is, as I mentioned, to learn. Network with experts and learn about the expected trends and the risk before you start involving yourself to trade in a Bitcoin or to become a member any of the exchange. You have to learn with the experts and then particularly first know about the risk involved. Number two, as I also mentioned earlier, open a wallet. There are few sites are available which provide the free services like bitcoin.org, coinbase.com are the popular sites offering free wallet setups. A wallet is the unique ID code which is required for all Bitcoin buy and sell transactions. Without wallet, you cannot proceed. Next step, find a reputed Bitcoin exchange. After you get the wallet, then you have to register yourself, finding the Bitcoin exchange, register yourself, and then you can first purchase your Bitcoin. On creating account with the exchange, you can place a buy order and make payment to the exchange via wire transfer or other permissible payment mechanism as per the law of the respective country by complying the respective country's law of the land. When the transaction is settled, the Bitcoins are credited to your wallet. So this is how the Bitcoin can be purchased and kept in an e-wallet, the digital wallet. How the Bitcoin transaction works. When you send Bitcoins to someone, you don't withdraw them from an account and send them through wires. It is not simply like this. Every transaction is created on the Bitcoin blockchain. Blockchain, as I mentioned, like a general ledger, acts like a general ledger for the whole of the Bitcoin network. It keeps, like a general ledger, it keeps records of which Bitcoin addresses sent funds to other Bitcoin addresses and when. So all this information about sending and receiving of the Bitcoins are recorded in the blockchain and all the data are recorded. This gives a complete record of how many Bitcoins can be attributed to which addresses on the network at any point of time. So blockchain is an extremely important component of the Bitcoin transactions. It records each and every transactions securely. When a Bitcoin transaction is made, it includes information such as the addresses that the Bitcoins came from, that is input, where they are going, that is output, the amounts transferred, and which addresses sent these funds to the sender's address. So input, output, amounts, and the sender's addresses who has sent the funds to the person who has sent the Bitcoins, that is input address. I will give you the small example which can simplify the entire transaction. Say the boy called Tommy runs an online store that accepts Bitcoin as a form of payment, right? Now the another person called the Ruby wants to purchase a item worth 2,500. He looks at the online store